Oh, all right. Aloha and welcome to Promptings Stories, where we highlight a business, learn about what they offer, and also how they use our services in their business. Today, we get to hang out with Desiree Watson of HawaiiWorkplace, and we're going to learn more about what she does. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Marianne Roos. I help entrepreneurs to unlock the power of human connection, become a magnet for their dreams, and release the badass they truly are. But that's enough about me. Let's find out more about Desiree today. So Desiree, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you, Marianne. I'm happy to be here as well. It's a beautiful day in Hawaii, as you can see.
A beautiful day in Hawaii. Yes, sun is shining and we're both on the same island. However, we're about 30 minutes or so away from one another. And you and your husband, Mark, have a business that is called HawaiiWorkplace. So tell me a little bit more about HawaiiWorkplace.
So we are one of the foremost HR and payroll companies in the state of Hawaii right now. And why I say that is because we're a boutique. We're not trying to be the biggest in the state, but our value is to bring the best customer service experience possible to our clients, so that they feel like we have their back, which HR, human resources, is all about. You know, covering, making sure we're covering all of the laws and regulations, making sure that they're compliant with what they need to be compliant with in order to actually hire employees and have them work for them and in a safe and supportive environment. So we offer that back office support on the HR side and then the payroll as well. So as a package for employers in the state of Hawaii. And we offer complete transparency. That's one of the things that sets us apart. It's we've been in business almost 11 years. And we started with $600.
Wow.
Now we have a whole staff of 5 people and we're growing. And so I'm very grateful for that and for the employers in Hawaii.
Yeah, and so you do have that HR service with payroll to where it's not cookie cutter, like you were saying, it's boutique. So you make it fit for what that individual's business needs are. With HR, you have payroll, but then there's also a little bit more than that, because don't you also do risk management, consulting? Because there's a, yeah.
The benefits administration.
Okay, so what kind of benefits do you help those companies with?
So we partner with insurance agents here in the state of Hawaii who do commercial insurance. So every employer has to have workers' comp, TDI, which is temporary disability, and health insurance if the employee is eligible. In the state of Hawaii, they are eligible when they reach 20 or more hours a week for 4 weeks in a row, and they actually elect that employer to be their, their employer of record, basically. And so we partner, and then we help get the quotes for all of those insurances, and then we administer the insurance every month, the payments, any refunds that are due, because we do the audits as well. Every year there's an audit for the workers' comp and TDI. So we administer, we take people on, we put them on the plan, we take them off. It's all like fundamental black and white things that have to happen and have to, they have to be, we have to stay on top of those things to be compliant for the state.
So I'm guessing that some employers make mistakes when it comes to the payroll and the HR side of their business. what kind of mistakes have you seen, and what kind of ramifications can there be when the state notices those mistakes?
I think that one of the biggest mistakes is trying to do it all yourself. And HR is a huge minefield of regulations. And you can't possibly, as an employer, a new employer, understand all the laws that you're responsible for. So trying to do it yourself is a big mistake. Even trying to do payroll by yourself, some employers will start that way. If they don't have an accounting background, they can make a huge mess in payroll. And that's with bookkeeping as well. We don't do bookkeeping, but we often clean up messes for employers. And then having HR, the back office help, you need both. So a lot of employers say, oh, I just need payroll, I'll get people going. They might hire a payroll company and might hire an account, somebody that does payroll only, but they don't have they're not covered with all the other things they need. They don't have all the new hire paperwork that they need to have in place. They won't have a handbook. There'll be a lot of things missing from their setup, like the foundational pieces. So we help get all of that in place right away so that their foundation is in place, and then we can grow it from there. So we see ourselves as partners with the employer and it's almost like the protection business, like insurance is, except that we're protecting them from what they don't know, or from, making errors in how they're handling people. They come to us if they're having an issue, and we help them methodically resolve it so that they don't end up getting sued, ideally don't get up getting sued, or having some other problem. So, there's a lot of, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to have enough emotional intelligence and conflict resolution skills so that you don't get in trouble. And some do and some don't. So we think, we believe it's best for the employer to, leave this heavy lifting to people like us who can take that off of their shoulders, and then they can focus on actually building their business. So we'll start with an employer with their very first employee and take them through the steps of navigating, everything from where are they what kind of entity do they need to set up? Not that we do that, but we'll give them resources to get that set up. We'll give them resources and partners that we have for the bookkeeping and the tax accounting and all of that as well, because we partner with all those people.
Nice. Yeah, personally, as an entrepreneur and business owner, I know that if I wanted to have employees, I don't want to have to think about all the details of the do's and don'ts of hiring, what kind of paperwork needs to be in place, what kind of insurance needs to be in place. I don't know. I've heard of some businesses needing to have certain reserves when it comes to funding for payroll because of the amount of employees that they have. I don't want to have to deal with those details. Personally, I would rather say, hey, can somebody help me to do that? And that's exactly what you and Mark do, to where, well, it's you, Mark, and then also you have a staff where everybody works together to make it, and like your tagline, bringing ease to having employees.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with workers' comp insurance, or if I have an employee and I need to let go of that employee, what is the right way to do it? Because all the legal ramifications, and then on top of that, the laws don't stay the same. They change over time.
They do. And they're also there to benefit and protect employees. And we are here to protect the employer, which therefore protects the employees as well. Because the employer may not know that they can't, that they have to pay overtime, for example. I mean, there's been, after 40 hours in a week, they're required to pay overtime. And, there have been companies that have been contacted by the Department of Labor because they failed to do that in some way or capacity. And that means fines, and you have to make it all up. And, it can be devastating. And, we've taken over companies that just didn't put people on payroll at all. They didn't, they just paid them like independent, either paid them as independent contractors or paid them cash. And, if somebody gets hurt, it's, or if the employee gets mad, it creates, it can create huge problems. So when we take those over, it's usually because they've been, the DOL has caught them, and now they have to get up to speed. And it's much easier to start correctly than it is to go back and get everything, reconciled, and all the taxes paid, and all the filing, that, the quarterlies and the annual returns files. But we do that if that's required. If they have a year that they did it, didn't do it correctly, then we'll go back and clean it up for them. So the Department of Labor pretty much loves us because they know we're going to get them compliant. And that's what they care about, because they want their taxes. They want employees to be paying into the system, and they want to collect their money. So, and they want the employees to collect it. So it's a good thing to do to set things up correctly. As I said, it's your foundation in place. Don't just go, oh, I can do it all myself and I don't need to worry about that. You're better off, spending the time and getting the foundation, just like a building. Otherwise, you have no foundation and you're building on top of it. And if there's any kind of problem, it's going to crumble in some area of your building. And the building is your business. So you put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into building something. You want to do it correctly. I mean, that's the, speaking to that biggest mistake area.
So a visual that I got while you were talking was also where somebody could be in the business for getting a car, and you are their personal assistant in finding the right car for their need, to where their business is the vehicle for what they want to do. And there you're helping to pick and choose by asking the right questions and guiding them, showing them the different options. That way they have the vehicle that they need to get to where they want to go. Versus some people to where they get a car that starts to kind of go off-road because they're, number one, not knowing which roads that they're supposed to go on. So they get off on a tangent on the big dirt road, rocky road, and they may not even have four-wheel drive. And then they get stopped by somebody with security that says, hey, you're here, we're going to fine you, but we're not going to help you to get back where you're supposed to go. And instead, you're the one that helps them to get back on track and get on their way of what they want their business to be like, without getting all those fines, to where it's like, okay, they got fined once, but let's get you on track to what you're supposed to be doing with your business, all the ins and outs of the payroll, of the human resource, the documents that need to be in place, what needs to be paid, what are the resources that are at their disposal that they can basically use. That way they can focus on what they actually want their business to do.
Right, which is they want it to grow. They want new
Exactly.
clients coming in, and they want to be able to manage those clients. But if they're worrying about, oh, I have payroll this week, I got to get all my timesheets together and sometimes some people are more organized than others in that area, depending on their past and their skill set, and others are not. And they can make a huge mess that's takes a while to clean up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
gives the other thing is people normally say, I have people telling me, oh, I don't need HR, I'm too small. But you know what? I'll have peace of mind if I know I'm doing things correctly. I could go spend hours, that I'm talking about the employer. I could spend hours on the DOL website and figure it all, try to figure it out myself, but there's still going to be gaps, right? Why not just get a system, that's already in place?
Hmm.
People who know what they're doing. I mean, this is our area of expertise to handle it for you. Whatever you spend is the value is so much more than what it costs you in time and money in general.
Yeah.
Because, you're then that's off your plate. Now you can focus on development of your business.
Yeah. And so some boo-boos that I have personally seen employers do or no-nos have been handing a paycheck to an employee and telling the employee that they can't cash it because there's no money in the account.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a no-no for an employer to do. One time you and I were at a restaurant. Do you remember that time where to where, let's see, what was it? There was a little error in the food or the drink that came out.
The food, I had asked for, there was supposed to be soup or something with my meal. And I said, well, will you just deduct it or, whatever, and you tell the rest of the story, what she did with that.
Yeah, to where she was saying that she was going to pay for it,
Yes, she kept saying, I'm gonna have to pay for that. And I'm like, no, you don't.
that her employer was going to make her pay for the soup, which no, and that's one of those things we kept on telling her, no. He can't do that. Your boss can't do that. That's
Why,
illegal.
Marianne? Do you know why that's illegal?
No.
I can tell you.
Yeah.
So you can't, so even if, so that was a product, that was a food product. Even if the employee loses money at the cash register, like let's say they lose $100 or is missing, you can't charge them that on their paycheck. You can't make them responsible for it. If they make a mistake that costs you money, then you have to, your mindset is I have to retrain that person, right? Or maybe they don't have the aptitude. It might come to that. They may not have the aptitude for that position. If you're not able to train them from making those kinds of mistakes that cost you money. But you can't hold the employee responsible for mistakes that cost you money like that.
Yeah. So mistakes happen everywhere, and some of those mistakes can be very costly for the employers if there is somebody that gets hurt, or like you were saying, an employee gets upset and decides to retaliate for anything, to where then the state or the federal government will then start scrutinizing and dig up what other mistakes happen.
It could be that, or it could be they go to an attorney if they have a case. So often they don't have a case, but they think they do. That's why we walk them through a process of termination if that's where the employer wants to go with that person. Let's say they make continuous mistakes that, maybe it doesn't cost money necessarily, but it costs time. Time is can be money in a business when it's busy for sure. So, you know, that employee could, you know, basically say, I don't think I should be fired. And they could claim discrimination, for example. And maybe, and you had there was nothing you were discriminating on, you know, in your own mind as an employer, but they claim that. And then you have to make sure all your ducks in a row. If you don't have documentation that we provide, so that you've documented all these mistakes they made along the way that show that it was based on that, not on, you know, that they're a person of color or that they're older or whatever, right? So there's, you know, different ways people can be discriminated against. And, you know, these laws were passed because there were abuses in the past, generally with the larger corporations. And so they were passed to protect employees. That's why I say they're there to protect employees. And generally in the bigger laws like that, there were abuses, and, you know, there was child labor back in the early 1900s. I mean, all kinds of things that we wouldn't allow now. But, you know, sometimes an employee can abuse it as well. They can know the laws. I mean, we have the internet now, and they can say, well, I can go after that. And they're just going after money. So there have been cases where, thankfully, you know, knock on wood, we haven't had anything go to court. You know, that we've had threats, you know, for employers have had threats. But there are cases where people were sued, and, you know, the attorneys take the case and they had to settle. They generally will settle out of court because it's so expensive to go to court. You know, so I have a personal friend in another state that had that happen as a discrimination based on pregnancy. And it cost her about $30,000 to get, you know, to settle it out, even though she wasn't guilty of that. And this is another mistake here, is she held on to somebody too long when they were a problem early on, or causing issues and in her company and behavioral problems and so forth. So it didn't get better because she kept the person, it just got worse. But then she finally said, okay, I've had enough. And the person happened to be pregnant. So she used that against her. And
wow. So this is where it's important to work with a company like yours. Obviously, some of our audience is not in Hawaii, and you do work in other states as well, or do you work just in Hawaii?
So right now we're in the state of Hawaii. We have employers that have hired people out of state. So we have a couple of other states that we're in, that we're handling the HR and the payroll. We're not seeking business for HR outside the state. We will do payroll if it's a large enough company and they have their own HR in-house. So we can do that nationally, but we have South Carolina, we have Texas, we have, and we have Nevada. Currently, where we've got, you know, like the handbook done type of thing, because every state has different laws.
Yeah.
And then we have to update the handbook for that state and, you know, get, you know, some require certain insurance, some don't, but that insurance, like health insurance, isn't required in every state. However, the employer may have a policy that they give in health insurance no matter where the employee is. So it could be part of their compensation package. And I recommend you have a package as you grow to retain people, you know, to keep that culture of, you know, them wanting to stay with you because they feel like they're taken care of. So.
Yeah. To where they're giving you the value of their time and skills and talent working for you. So besides a paycheck, what other value do you bring to them?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's excellent. Excellent. So definitely, as far as from the employer standpoint, it's important to work with a company that knows what they're doing when it comes to HR, payroll, and Desiree and Mark do a wonderful job here in the state of Hawaii. And let's see, didn't you also win an award?
I did.
Did.
Right in the middle of the beginning of COVID. I won the Woman in Business Advocate of the Year award for the SBA, Small Business Administration, for Hawaii Island. And that was I found out in February of 2020. And normally they have a big, awards ceremony on Oahu, which is a different island from the Big Island. And they had to cancel it. So I didn't get to receive my award. However, I got to be an advocate, even a stronger advocate, let me put it that way, because I was helping our businesses and my general business community to get the funding they needed to stay in business. We had a 20%, 20% of our clients had to shut down, and about 10% of those went out of business.
Wow.
So it was pretty challenging time, but my husband and I stayed on top of all the programs, PPP, employee retention tax credits, idle funds. I mean, some of them were SBA, and made sure those employers who qualified had access to applying for those with the help of their tax accountants.
There you go. Yeah. And I remember when the whole world went upside down, when everything was happening, to where you were sharing that information also with those of us who are not your clients because we don't have employees. Like, I'm a solopreneur, but you were still reaching out and saying, hey, this is something that's coming up. This may be of benefit to you. So you were still sharing and supporting the community through the whole turmoil that was happening. And that's because the company that you and Mark have built is such a strong pillar in the community. So we really appreciate what you do in the community and also for your customers as well. But for those of us that are not even your customers, you're still providing a strong pillar. So thank you.
Yes, you're
And
welcome.
thank you. Yeah. When it comes to doing HR, payroll, definitely not something that I'd want to do myself. I've done some of it for an employer before as part of my job, and it was not fun. I'd rather give it to somebody to where that is their expertise, and that's where HawaiiWorkplace comes in. It's your expertise. You keep on top of everything. You, like you were saying, it's boutique to where you tailor it to that business, and you really support them in their growth. And one of the things that you do also in your business when it comes to using our services as our customer is we have a variety of services. The one that you use is our card service, which is what most people know as send out cards. But just in case there's somebody that's listening that hasn't heard about our company, it's actually called Promptings. In a nutshell, we provide both products and services for relationship development. And there's relationship with others, there's relationship with ourselves. What most people know about is our print on demand card service. Like some of these cards that I hold up, if you're listening, you can't see, but it's print on demand card service. We also have fabulous gift selections, but we also have webinars and seminars on relationship development, both for personal growth and also for business. And Desiree, it's my understanding that with cards that you've been sending, some of the cards that you send are for things like birthdays and anniversaries, welcoming new clients that are on board with your services, celebrating holidays, and also encouraging people. So did I get that right? Are those the type of cards that you like to send?
Yes, absolutely. I send also to my partners, referral partners. So they are not actually clients, but I might partner with them for the insurance or they do my retirement plans within the company for the employers, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
So would you say that those are like thank you cards, or you're
Yes.
staying in touch to further that relationship that you have with them?
Yeah, so I have a couple of prong, like 2 or 3 prong approach to maintaining and keeping the relationship strong. My team, for the client side, my team is, in regular contact. However, I'm the business development side of our business and the PR side. So I will send regular cards to our clients just to let them know we're thinking about them. I send holiday cards, thanking them. They get a thank you card the very first, within the first month of when they join us as a client. And we also send out for, if I get their birthdays and anniversaries, sometimes I do, I will send out cards for that. Sometimes gifts through Promptings website, they have gifts as well. And then I send the cards, but I also make phone calls, and I also will visit, if they're here. Sometimes I'll just drop in if they have an office and say hi, or I'll take them to lunch. And, often they will, if they get a cute, like I did a what is it, leprechaun card for
St.
that.
Patrick's.
St. Patrick's, I did a card and I sent that to some of my partners, and they just got a kick out of it. I heard from 2 or 3 of them that, they appreciated me thinking about them. So, on the partner side, I just periodically send, and then I do campaigns to send out, and Marianne's been extremely helpful with helping me get those set up, but campaigns to regularly send out. And then I do, somebody's having a hard time, or, they had a loss in their family, it could be a client, or it could be a friend, or a business associate. Then I try to send out cards to just let them know I'm thinking about them as well. So I utilize it very frequently and, consistently, like every month, I'm sending out cards. And I found that it, one of the things that's fun for me is I can upload my own photos. I can show them pictures of, funny pictures of my kitty, and, beautiful pictures like this, like the scene behind me, inspirational pictures, so I can customize the cards to the person or to the group. And so I enjoy that.
Nice. Yeah, it is fun to be able to personalize the cards. And it sounds to me like you treasure the personalized touch, whether it is with the cards or the phone calls or the meeting in person, to where you build the relationships, because you know that your customers, your clients are somebody. They are a person, not a dollar sign or account number 51238 or whatever, it is in a system, to where it is an actual person. And that, yes, life happens, and sometimes transitions out of life happens, such as yesterday, I was at a life celebration. So there are so many ways that we can stay in touch with one another on the personal side, and using the cards that the send out card system makes it very simple and very personalized. That's for sure.
Consistent, and you can make it consistent as well, which is wonderful, so you don't forget about people. You don't, not that you want to forget about them, but that you keep them in your radar consistently.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
With a nice card that they'll enjoy.
Yes. And so do you send cards to also non-business?
Yes. Friends and family.
Friends and family. So you use it for both personal and business then?
I do.
Okay, nice. Nice. Yeah, fantastic. Well, Desiree, I really enjoyed having you on Promptings Stories and hearing more about what you and Mark do with Hawaii Workplace, helping business owners for the whole state of Hawaii. And like you were saying, was it South Carolina, Texas, and Nevada? Did I get those
Yes,
right?
you
All
did.
right.
Good memory.
To where you're helping business owners and to where you basically, like your tagline is, to make it ease to having employees. And it's one of those things. I don't want to have to do those details. I don't want to have to remember and keep track of when the laws change and what I need to update on my end. I would rather work with you and Mark to where I know that you're staying on top of it all. And when things are happening, like when the world went upside down for everybody, that not only you were staying on top of all the changes and everything that was happening, but you were also providing a service to the community at large, even when they were not your own customers. So thank you.
You're welcome, Marianne.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, if you'd like to get a hold of Desiree, we will put the link in the comments for the video and also for the podcast. But you can find her at HawaiiWorkplace.com. And you can also email her right from there, and phone numbers right on there. So if you are a business owner and you want your vehicle to get you from A to Z in the right way, go ahead and reach out to Desiree over at Hawaii Workplace. So until
Thank you.
next time, everybody, a hui ho.
A hui ho. Blessings to you all.